Bain, and I'm joined in the Orkney room today by Victoria Campbell.
Hello.
Hi Victoria.
Hi.
You're here doing just in a Book Week Scotland event for us, but you've been quite busy in Book Week Scotland so far, I believe.
Yes, this is my 5th event this week for Book Week Scotland.
That's pretty good going. So you've been all over the country?
Yes, I've been to quite a few places. I've been to Clackmannan and West Lothian and Dundee, but Orkney is the furthest north that I've been so far.
Excellent. And so now you need to cover the other end of the country as well. You mentioned in your talk you were thinking about, was it Jersey or one of the Channel Islands?
Yes, I have a good friend that lives in Jersey, and it would be great to get the opportunity to do something there, so that's my ambition for 2013.
And see if you can fit in our northerly neighbours in Shetland as well, and then you've covered the complete country. So.
Yes, that certainly could be done, hopefully.
Yeah. How did your event go today? You think it went well?
Oh, I hope so. We certainly had lots of questions from the primary 7 class that came along, so I was pleased with that.
They were very enthusiastic, I thought, and asking loads of questions, and I had to admire you. Anybody that quotes Chekhov at a primary 7 class, I thought that was good.
Yeah, sometimes we quote T.S. Eliot as well, but we just went with Chekhov today. We were short of time. I also sometimes read Invictus to them, but
right.
Again, we didn't have enough time.
No. And your novel's been out just over a year?
Yes, just over a year basically.
Yeah, and it's your first novel, Viking Gold. Can you tell us a little bit about the book?
Yes, it's my debut, I understand is the technical term.
Yeah.
And it's about a 16-year-old Viking boy called Orkney who basically goes on a quest to the new world to do a couple of things: to avenge his father's death and to find out more about the truth behind his father, but also to find treasure, basically. So it's a bit of a quest, a classic quest novel, but a quest for several things. On one level, it's a quest for a place to live and for sort of treasure, for sort of worldly things. But on another level, it's more of a quest about sort of finding your place in the world and deciding whether things from the past really should affect your future.
Yeah, and that's an area of history that you're really interested in personally, which is that why you chose to do the sort of Viking story?
Yes, I think I've always been quite interested in the Vikings. As part of my law degree at university, I studied in Sweden, and I just always kind of been interested in Scandinavia, and I wanted to write a book for young people. This is aimed mainly at sort of young adults, although a lot of my readers are adults, but I wanted to write something for young people that was properly exciting, and I thought that the Vikings was a good time period to set that, and they go to so many different places. So if you're talking about a series, which hopefully this will be, the second one is in the offing, but the Vikings went so many different places. I mean, they went as far east as Baghdad, as far south as Constantinople, and there's just so many different opportunities for really juicy stories.
Gives you a lot of scope for future books in the series. So you're working on a second one at the moment? Yes,
the working title is Viking Siege, and it's set around the siege of a sort of Viking-era Norman castle, and our hero is helping to defend the castle, but there's a problem for our hero because there's also a serial killer inside the castle picking people off one by one. So I'm getting to learn all about serial killers, which is quite dark, but also about siege warfare and boiling pitch and mangonels and such like, which again is quite bloodthirsty.
It sounds like it should be right up the street of teenage boys.
Hopefully.
That's quite a contrast from, you mentioned that when you started writing, it was a chick lit sort of book that you worked on first. A very different sort of thing. Will that book ever see the light of day?
Well, I don't know. The first book that I sort of practiced with, a kind of apprenticeship, I suppose, was never polished up and sent to publishers or anything. It very much remains a kind of first draft attempt. But I wrote that, I have to say, when I was a bit younger, and I think I was perhaps at a slightly different stage in life, and I think also because it's set in the fashion world, I think when I wrote it, it was certainly before the credit crunch, and I think this idea of conspicuous consumption and interest in designer labels, I think that was more prevalent then. I don't know if it's quite the right time for that particular book, but it's not something, I would never say never, okay? there's a lot of work to be done to it to bring it up to a publishable state, and one wonders, I suppose, whether I'd almost be as quick just writing a whole new book, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, I enjoyed writing it. It was a comedy, and I enjoy writing comedy. And I think even the Viking one has a bit of comedy in it as well. And I think all the best stories do have that light touch, that sense of humour. So I would never say that I would never bring that out.
Yeah, it's always good to have, maybe contrast quite a dark passage with a bit of humour then, the sort of light and shade in a story.
The ridiculous, the farcic elements in black comedy. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you've done loads of events since the book was published. Must be quite hard work travelling all over. Do you find you have the time now, like when you're working on the second novel, all the travelling, do you get time to write when you're travelling, or is that something you only really do at home?
Well, I tend to promise myself, if I'm setting off for maybe a week at a time, that I will definitely do writing this time, and I take my laptop and I have my research books with me in the boot of the car. And I tend to find though that when I get back from doing a whole series of school talks during the day or Waterston's events, that I'm absolutely exhausted. Yeah. And I tend to kind of just collapse into bed with like a big bar of chocolate and just watch some telly. And I haven't yet managed to do much writing in the evening. I've heard of lots of other authors who do. I tend to find I'm just too tired. I think I'm one of these writers who actually needs tranches of time to spend writing. Like a kind of week at a time and just hold myself away. So I would like to get to that point. It might come to me just having to force myself regardless of how tired I am, but unfortunately I'm not quite that disciplined at the moment.
Do you read a lot for pleasure? What sort of authors do you enjoy reading yourself?
Well, I think I have quite wide tastes. I like reading sort of most types of things. Certainly when I was younger, and if young people are looking at books that they maybe haven't come across, I would certainly recommend The 39 Steps by John Buchan. It's a kind of first sort of thriller, kind of like a James Bond type story, but set just before the First World War. And something else I also really liked was The Scarlet Pimpernel. But it's kind of got that swashbuckling, a bit of romance as well. But at the moment, I think I'm actually reading quite a lot of Scandinavian crime noir. I know everyone else is reading that, but for me, I've always been interested in Scandinavia, so it's actually quite exciting for me to see that a lot of these Scandinavian authors are being read widely. So I'm really enjoying the Jo Nesbø ones at the moment. And I think I might get hold of the Bat, which I haven't read yet, which I think is the first, and I think you have to pronounce this Areola, which sounds very counterintuitive and totally wrong in the Scottish accent. But I want to get hold of that first one in the series. I'm quite excited about reading that.
So you'll be popping along to your local library to get that one out?
Yes, well actually I need to join my local library, I have to say. I'm just in the process of moving house, and I've already sent off to become a member of my local library, but I haven't quite completed the forms yet. But I will be there. Excellent,
that's what we like to hear. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, and good luck with the second novel. We look forward to that one coming out.
No, thank you. Thank you very much for having me during Book Week. It's been a pleasure.